Such games always feel more alive and are just a treat to look at. From beautiful sunsets to moody shadows, the right light settings can make such games look breathtaking.
You're breathtaking!
First, quickly, let's see how light works in each game. Now, for every game scene, light is generated from different sources, like a glowing bulb, the sun, or even a flickering fire. These light sources are essential for bringing 3D objects to life. Each type of light casts rays that hit and bounce off surfaces, shaping how we see and experience the world around us. So let's dive in the most popular light settings we have in games and see what they do. At number 1, we have shadows. Shadows add depth and realism by simulating how objects block light. In this gameplay, we can see how a shadow is cast for the characters in the scene. Moving around makes the shadows move just like they would in real life, which adds a sense of realism to the game. Shadow quality is pretty much found in most popular titles these days, with the setting getting more demanding as you move up to the better quality. At number 2, we have bloom. Bloom creates a soft glow around bright areas, mimicking how intense light appears in real life. It enhances the sense of brightness and adds a cinematic feel. Here we can look at different lit lamps and see a realistic distortion effect around them, just like in real life. For comparison, we can see bloom on versus off setting in this room. You can immediately spot how two produce different light effects, and the difference is quite clear. At number 3, we have ambient occlusion. This is a very common setting that you will find in games that you can use, which basically is helping cast soft shadows on objects where direct light is blocked. We can take example of shining a light source on a block like this. We will as expected see the block with perfect lighting. Now if we place 2 blocks behind the first one, what do you notice? The bottom block behind the first one has a small shadow casted on it. This is ambient occlusion at work, where we calculate the soft shadows on surfaces where the light is getting blocked off due to other objects in the way. In this scene, you can see how ambient occlusion is working. On the wall around the door, if you notice, there are darker patches compared to other lighter patches. This is basically ambient occlusion at work, where the lamp light is being blocked by the pillars and which cast a darker, softer shadow around the door area. At number 4, we have volumetric lighting. Now this is one of my favorite ones. Watch how the sunlight filters through the trees and slips between the buildings as it rides through the town. Those glowing rays cutting across the streets, that's volumetric lighting in action. It doesn't just brighten the scene, it creates a sense of warmth and depth, making every corner of the city feel rich and alive. Volumetric lighting works by simulating how light scatters through the air, interacting with dust, mist, or even just the atmosphere. It's what makes the sunbeams feel real, like you could almost reach out and touch them. At number 5, we have global illumination. This is something what the gaming industry is working to improve for many years. We have already implemented many versions of global illumination in games, which you can get in the form of the popular methods such as ray tracing, path tracing, or Lumen by Unreal Engine 5. Though we will not go into details of above in this video, we rather will see the basic concept of what it is and how it will make a difference in a game scene. We take example of a dark room which has no visibility and add a light source to it. As the light rays move in the room, we can see the objects that are in the path of the rays. In our case, we can see this robot, and the room is partially visible only in the paths where the direct light falls and a shadow of the figure is cast on the wall. This is how direct light works, but in reality, the direct light will bounce off the objects causing indirect lighting, which we will call global illumination. This is what global illumination is specializing in, calculating the indirect lighting to give a more realistic view of the scenes and greatly increase the visual fidelity. Also note the color of the object from which the light bounces off is mixed into the shadows formed around it, which is known as color bleeding. We will explore this in the next visual. We can see in this example of just direct lighting first with this cave, which does not look that appealing. It is quite dark and the image is missing a lot of information that is present. Now let's enable global illumination to it. Immediately we can see how the image looks much better and more realistic lighting can be seen. Comparing them side by side, we can see how the light reflected from the walls into the cave is spreading and covering much more area than with just direct lighting. The indirect light that is cast on the inner walls is projecting its color as well on the wall, which is purely the work of global illumination. The global illumination will not be directly available as in a game option to you, but rather, as I mentioned, that it will have its applied variations of ray tracing, lumen, or path tracing, so be sure to look out for them. In conclusion, lighting is more than just a visual effect. It's what brings virtual worlds to life. From soft shadows to dazzling sunbeams, every light source shapes the atmosphere and emotion of a game. Next time you play, take a moment to appreciate the subtle details. Sometimes it's the light that tells the most powerful story.